This is Will with Agency, and we are going to show you how to save at minimum tens of thousands of dollars in financial operational costs using teams of artificial intelligence agents. Our company Agency was covered by Accounting Today and CPA Practice Advisor. We've gotten press for our work in AI research specifically to the accounting field. And we've put out a lot of videos around model performance and things that they can do. So things like, advanced contract interpretations and journal entry reconciliations, things like that. But the most common request that we get is to see how these models would operate in a true financial operations setting. So, basically the response is, okay, I know what to do. The problem is that it's the time it takes me to do these things is what's really dragging our department down. So that's what this demo is for. We're going to show you how this works in practice in your systems using a QuickBooks account and Agency's team of artificial intelligence agents and tooling. So I'm going to show you very briefly. Hold your breath because you're going to. It's a fast demo. This is what it looks like. Once you hit refresh here, this is what it looks like in practice. So you can see it's pretty seamless. It operates in the background. Basically, what you're seeing here is our system is just automatically categorizing a bank transaction with the appropriate chart of accounts, and it operates, completely. You won't really notice it until you go to reconcile your accounts at the end of the month. So it operates in the background. Requires no, management or anything along those lines from you. Simply will just operate and will provide some sort of compliance report, etc. So that is the demo. It's that simple. Once it's set up, runs seamlessly. Now, why would you do this? Why would this even matter? So there's two major cost reductions that you can get out of bookkeeping automation. One is the organizations we speak with are spending about an hour a day on bookkeeping tasks per person, which is roughly just under 10% of their total work time, which is a lot of time to spend on bookkeeping automation when, if you can simply have a machine do it, you can free up those labor hours to do things that are more revenue oriented, such as following up with customers, more customer facing interactions, vendor negotiation, things like that. The second part of this is that bookkeeping automation means that all of your financial reports at month end, year end, quarter end are done automatically. Now, obviously, there's still some preparation work, but you will not be held up by any categorizations or anything with your chart of accounts. So you've got this dual way of saving time. And the other part of this is that we have a chat interface with this so that if you have questions around transactions as they occur and as they were categorized, our system can answer those questions the same way a coworker could. So that's another reason why bookkeeping can save this automation can save you a lot of time on reporting, because if you have questions about specific expenses or anything like that, it can answer those questions. Now, I'm going to cover how this works. There's other values that we have, but I'm really going to focus on these top two. So next up, I'm going to show you how this works just as an overall. So everyone's QuickBooks accounts, for the most part, are hooked into their bank transaction feeds. Now, you can upload your own transactions if you want to. We just haven't really run into a lot of companies that are doing this. So how our system operates is we will monitor your transaction feed for transactions that you want to delegate to us, which I'll cover in a second here. And once we have identified a transaction that needs to be classified or categorized, our models will interpret that transaction and return the appropriate categorization based on your chart of accounts. And then we will go into QuickBooks the same way that you would, and we'll categorize that transaction automatically. And the benefit of this is, obviously, that you will not have to perform categorizations manually anymore. Our system will automatically do that. So how does it know what transactions and what does the technical details really look like, right? This is kind of like a high-level overview. Well, first off, what we do is we'll set up a rule in QuickBooks. We found this is the best especially for organizations. If you have a large list of conditional rules or something like that you want to maintain, one of our major principles here is not to interfere with your workflows at all, right? So if you probably have workflows that are operating efficiently. So what's nice about this is we can set a rule and we can set it lower on the priority than your other conditional logic. So our system is only categorizing transactions that would be done by a person anyway, right? And so once that rule gets triggered, which you'll see here in a second, once we simulate a utility bill expense, it will flag our system to begin operations on that transaction. And so what we're seeing here is we're going to mimic a transaction coming through on the bank feed. And what this is going to do is trigger the rule that we've set up in the account to flag it as an agency review expense. So you can see here that it's no longer in the for review. It's been automatically categorized. That categorization is related to us. It's part of the rule, and that means that it will kick off our artificial intelligence network. And I'll show you what this looks like in a second here. So you can see here that it's under categorized. It's categorized, as an expense that needs to be reviewed by our system. And what we're going to do here is hit run, and you can see this is our internal software. It's kind of hard to see, I guess, from this far out, but you can see it's text is being generated. It's interpreting the results. One of the things that actually I'm not going to cover that yet, and so it's spitting out exactly what kind of code needs to be sent over to QuickBooks in order to perform the categorization. And so you can see here, if we refresh the feed, now that our system has run, that transaction that was previously categorized as needs review, agency, etc., is now properly categorized under its utilities or related chart of accounts. So it's been properly categorized. At this point, I typically get a lot of questions around, okay, obviously the system works, but there's, for example, I already have a lot of conditional logic. What I just saw is something that I think I can probably build a logic tree around. That's true. It is, right? You probably have routine utility expenses from the same vendors. A little bit hard. However, our system is more flexible than conditional logic in a couple different ways. One is that conditional logic is extremely strict on the text inputs around your transactions and the vendors and that sort of thing. So unless you're operating in some highly structured data environment, your conditional logic is going to consistently have problems. Now, it can take a nice amount of the workload off. However, it still will struggle with any variations in your transactions as they come across. Second piece of this is that our system is able to bring in other data sources than just QuickBooks. We can pull in your ERP systems, your sales contracts. You can upload all the documents you want to it. You can you name it, we can add in the context so that our system, when it was looking for your vendors, has additional context similar to a person who has access to multiple software systems. That is something that that context cannot be contained into conditional logic, and therefore our system is capable of making journal entry transaction categorizations that conditional logic is not. So that being said, next most common question, data security. So our system's standard is SOC 2 and HIPAA compliant data storage. Plus, we don't call any AI models that store your data. However, we have a step up program on data security that goes all the way into sensitive healthcare medical billing data, in which case that would be an on-premises solution with a local AI model. So think that it's not connected to the internet really at all. It's completely hosted on in your own system, and then our company just provides the maintenance and on-premises support. Most organizations don't need that, but we probably have something in the middle for your organization. So we have data security covered. Third is, if you've used AI features, you've probably gotten subpar responses, right? You've gotten a weird text response. You've got things that you don't really like what it responded, or it was inaccurate, or you used ChatGPT and it gave you a weird answer. We don't have those same problems that you see with other AI products. And the reason for it is that there's two reasons, which is one is our architecture. The architecture of our solution provides better prompting and more uniform prompting than you using AI or some of these other thinner AI applications. So that's number one, is that obviously we've tuned down what's called the temperature, which is the variations in output responses, but more so than that, we built an entire architecture around reliability. The second piece of this is that our system also has backups on AI. So for whatever reason, if there's an outage or if anything happens to any of our model providers, we have redundancies built into our system to ensure that your journal entries are always being updated with a high level of accuracy. And we're just going to kick in the next model, the next man up, so to speak, of AI models to perform those actions. Now, third, journal entry automation accuracy ranges. So a lot of people are like, okay, that's great. It can do it automatically, but can it do it right? And part of our implementation is providing a journal entry accuracy score to your organization. And what we've seen when we've provided this to other organizations, it's because of the architecture that I referenced in point 3, we can get about 96% accurate on your journal entry transactions right out of the gate before we even get training from your organization. Now, that being said, with feedback from your company, we can get probably up to about 99%. So what do you do? I guess what does our company do with the remaining 1 to 4% of transactions? So what we'll do is kick out transactions that we don't understand, and we will. What that looks like in practice is that we will assign a category. We will assign the categorization will be assigned to a person. So it'll have a category called like manual review or something along those lines that your staff knows to check, and those become the transactions that need review, and that allows us to reduce the risk of fraud. It allows us to properly, accurately take a lot of workload off without sacrificing significant accuracy ratings or anything like that. So that's how we handle basically abnormalities in transactions or anything along those lines. So with all this being said, we can significantly cut down your bookkeeping costs with artificial intelligence. And we'd love to talk to you about it if this is a major pain point for your organization. And my contact information is on this slide. Please let me know if this is something you'd be interested in. We'd love to discuss this with you. Thank you.